I'm so sorry I was late, everybody, but just fucking deal with it.
What is up, everybody? You know, I always start this show off by showing love to those companies who help make this podcast possible. First and foremost is my friends over at HouseCall Pro. Guys, I always tell you, I only back things or offer stuff that I use myself. And HouseCall Pro, we have used to build Beltway into almost a $10 million company. And we have no reason to change anytime soon. I tell all of you, when I first went to Beltway and took that opportunity, the first thing I said was, we can't build this company using HouseCall Pro. And from day one, all HouseCall Pro has done has proved me wrong. And I'm a man of my word. And when you're wrong, you're wrong. HouseCall Pro has been growing with the times, implementing new features that makes it easy for service providers to do everything that you need to do all in one app. They're adding things for the technician side. They're adding things for the office, not to mention with their integrations they have with other companies. One of them that you know, CompanyCam, which is one of my other sponsors, and another one that is not a sponsor, but they've been on the show several times that we just signed up for, which is the new flat rate, a menu pricing system that links in with HouseCall Pro, and it has been amazing. We love it. The guys have, it's been easy for them. It's been awesome. So if you are out there, especially if you're a smaller company, you're starting out, don't be doing pen and paper. It's 2024. Go look at HouseCall Pro. Remember, go to www.housecallpro.com/HVAC Uncensored. You will get a free 14-day trial, and then they will give you 50% off your first 2 months for being a part of HVAC Uncensored Nation. On to the next one. Also, remember, guys, my friends over at BLUON, and I say this every week, and I know that I talk about BLUON a lot. And I know that most of the people that show up in the live chat, you guys are all good technicians and women. You guys are all good techs. You know what you're doing. But none of us are perfect, and everybody gets caught. You get stuck, and it happens more than we'd like to realize. There's a lot of younger techs that are being shoved in trucks saying, figure it the F out. They're getting out there. They don't know what they're doing, and they have no one to help them. Well, that's not conducive for anybody. It's not conducive for companies, and it's not conducive for our industry as a whole. BLUON fixes that. Yes, they have all the parts where you can order through the app, and I know some of you can't choose where you buy parts. That's an amazing feature. We use it at Beltway. I love it. It's easy, simple to use. I love that perk. But even if it was only for the manuals and the tech support, that would be enough for me. Having tech support 365 days a year, 7 days a week, um, is amazing. We've all had that, 4:30, 5 o'clock feeling when you're stuck on something. You try to call, the OEM tech support. Damn, I can't call them. I'm stuck. You tell the customer you have to come back. Well, those days are over with BLUON. It doesn't matter. You go out and do a call on Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving. Hopefully you're not working, but if you are, you're still not alone. They're going to be there. They have your back, and they're slowly adding more and more pieces of equipment to be able to take care of more and more people. And also remember, if you have the BLUON app, you can also use the Master Mechanic AI, which is a AI built tech support that all you have to do is talk to it. Obviously, the more information you give it, the better answer it's going to give you. And you can do that right then and there. Even if you speak Spanish, you can speak Spanish and it will translate it for you. So just remember, this is like another tool in your tool bag. Everybody should have this downloaded. As much as you use it, it's up to you, but it's there. Remember, all right, BLUON is upgrading the HVAC industry. And last but not least is going to be my buddy, Mr. Ben Poole. What's the latest audio podcast to come out? HVAC Tactical. I think every one of you should be a part of the movement. Go get yourself some merch, man. Stop rocking all these big companies that don't give a shit about you. Ben gives a crap about our trade. We've seen that in everything that he's done. And if you know Ben, you know that's true. Um, as far as I know, the 20% discount code, if using HVAC Uncensored, no space, if you're trying to buy HVAC tactical merchandise, which, as far as I'm concerned, is the best in the business as far as qualities wise, you still get 20% off. All right. Go grab that. You guys see that I wear it all the time. I pay for this stuff. Yes, Ben has given me free things, but I have paid for more stuff than he's ever given me for free because he's my friend. I want to support him. I want to pay full price. I don't even use my own discount code. In all fairness, I forgot, or I would have, but you know what I mean. Also, Ben is the mastermind behind the HVAC tactical movement, which, to be honest, has changed a lot of our lives. It's given us recognition that we never thought we'd get. And it's just an amazing time that is really taking the influencer world and giving people their time to shine, being able, tradesmen and tradeswomen, be able to walk the red carpet. It's pretty freaking amazing. So with that being said, go buy yourself some HVAC tactical merch. Don't forget to use the discount code HVAC Uncensored, all one word, no spaces, to save 20%. Now let's do the pledge and get on with the show. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil Cavey Jr.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. I'm your host, Gil Cavey Jr. Here we are, another Wednesday, another hump day. I hope all of you are having a great week so far. I thank you all for being here. Just a quick shout out to some of you that are in the chat. I know a bunch of you have been here. So Mr. HVAC Obsessed, what's up? What's up? Thank you for being here. My brother, man, Mr. Jason Johnson. Mr. Scott, HVAC Rookie, what is up, my man? Let's see. Mr. Nasty HVACR, what's up, brother? Freon Leon. Let's see here. Make sure. Mr. Brian Sanders, what's up, buddy? Let's see. I saw some of your message. Mr. D Fry Commercial Kitchens, what's up, brother? Thank you for being here again. Let's see. I know I saw Mr. Sammy was here. Mr. Sam Andrews, what's up, buddy? Reliable. Adrian, what's up, homie? Let's see. I think I'm getting East Coast. What's up, my man? And if I miss somebody, I apologize. It is all good. Yeah, apologize for starting late. I've been trying to, as you guys are seeing, there's got this narrow shot of the studio. I'm trying to complete the other side so that I can unveil everything. So I was messing around with some stuff, and I think that something wasn't put back. And I also have to click this echo cancellation button every show that I do. And since last week it was just me, I didn't have a guest. I didn't think about it, so I forgot to hit it. So I think that was the issue with the audio. But remember, I appreciate when you guys tell me about those things. Because if you don't, then I don't know until later on. So OnlyFans studio. Yeah, man. I'm taking HVA pictures, units, ball sacks, whatever makes money, man. But anyway, guys, I have a great show tonight, man. You guys know that I like switching around, talking about different topics. And as I've grown in my career, one of the things about being the general manager of a company and running a multi-million dollar HVAC company is finding good people. Obviously, you always want to promote from within. You want to get young talent, train them, and get them to, rise up the ranks. Those guys eventually turn into your senior techs, et cetera, yada, yada, yada. But let's be honest, that doesn't always happen. And sometimes you have to hire people. You got to put the word out, find people, and it is easier said than done. Some of those old ways, it's a pain in the ass. I've been on Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and we have to watch it like a hawk, or you're paying money for people that don't even live in your fucking state. And that's the truth. Like I've had to be like, hey, this is not even in Maryland, and you have to watch it like a hawk, and it gets to be a pain in the ass. So we need to know that there is other avenues out there. There's people out there solving, needs that we all have. And even if you're looking for a job, rather than going on a bunch of bullshit interviews that you're never going to work there, wouldn't you like to narrow that down? So this is a two-sided thing. It's not just for people trying to hire people. But let me stop running my mouth, guys. Without further ado, what I love about this is a man who's grew up in the trades. He's a fourth generation Mason who saw a need and decided to do something and fix it. And now he's created, and he is the founder and CEO of the Contractor Consultant. So, guys, please put your hands together and welcome to the show, Mr. Matt DiBara. Here, oh, damn, hitting the wrong button. My fault.
Hello, hello.
What's
going
up,
on?
buddy? Welcome to the show, man.
What's going on?
Same old, man. It's crazy. Like I said, trying to get this studio done, but these guys bust my balls. So if anything's messed up, they let me know.
Yeah, not getting away with it with this chat, man. This is great.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I've been blessed to have a really awesome group of people that follow me, a lot of friends and stuff like that. So it's pretty awesome. With that being said, man, let them know a little bit about you, man, who you are, how you came up, what you do, all that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the trades. My dad, I guess you trace it back to both my great grandfathers were in the trades. They built their homes from the ground up, and then my grandfather took over the business. Went down to my grandfather and my father and my uncle, and then I started at the ripe old age of 9. Had a lot of energy, kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do. Loved to be outside, and dad took me in, started working with him, and that grew into. This was back when I was telling someone this story. My dad used to develop film every Friday, those old click cameras that he used to take jobs, and then he'd develop them. I'd go with him to like a Walgreens, and we'd look over the pictures as a little kid. And so I really, I just started young in the business, and I love the trades.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what the idea behind, I guess we'll get into what the contractor consultant is in a second, but when did this come about, and when did you say, this is a problem, I need to find a way to solve these things?
So yeah, I think a little bit of context, right? I grew up in the family business, and my dad paid based on what I learned. So he sat me down and he was like, literally drew up a menu, and he was like, mortar mixer, 50 cents an hour, cut and brick, 50 cents an hour. And I started working for $3 an hour. So I was very motivated to grow in the business. And by 16, 17, I'm running jobs. 18, 19, I'm running a decent portion of the company. We grew that company. We had 6, 7 crews. We were doing commercial work, some government work. And then right around that time, I was in school, and I wanted to modernize the business. I wanted to do more, get away from the word of mouth marketing. That was my big thing. I was like, look, Dad, this is early 2000s. And I'm like, hey, we need a website, lead gen. Like, there's a whole new wave of stuff that's happening that past like the Polaroid pictures and the word of mouth. And so that was the big thing. Yeah, somebody said they see the ductwork behind me. And so that was the big motivation. And so I split from him. He said, if you could do better, do it yourself. And so I got licensed at 19 in college, started my little version of this deal, grew that company, and eventually brought it to Los Angeles. And so where this came about was I grew the company in LA to a point where I had 9 crews. Business was amazing. I hit it's a healthy 8-figure business. I'm working for celebrities, like all these milestones. And I thought, because when I started, I thought if you sold enough work, that was all you had to do, right? If you sold enough work, if you had enough contracts, you were good. And that all came crashing down for me. And I almost tanked the family business. And so, I mean, I lost nearly $1 million in the span of about 3.5 weeks of canceled contracts, jobs that were going over. I mean, it was like I couldn't hire. And that set out kind of that was the catalyst for me saying, I got to figure this out for me, or I'm going to shut the business down. And then that just led to a series of events of finding a system, traveling the country. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in between, but really, really becoming obsessed with hiring in a big way, to a point where, I mean, at one point I had probably 50 recruiters. I onboarded 2 recruiters every week as we were making hires. I was doing hundreds of interviews. I obsessed over this process. Every single data point I tracked, and I was just really, really big on trying to figure out, what was going to work in the space.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, what do you think? Do you think you weren't hiring good people? I mean, do you think that you didn't have people, or was it just putting system and processes in place to be able to duplicate it? Like, what led to losing that $1 million that you learned from? I'm just
Yeah.
curious.
So specifically, it was overselling. So my team was like, we were selling contracts all the time, and I was completely focused on sales. So at the time, I probably had 50 people in the company, 55, somewhere around there, and we're growing, and sales completely outpaced. But I had processes, right? We would go to Indeed, we'd go to Zip. We had smaller companies that we'd partner with on bigger jobs that when they were slow, they'd come on. So we kind of had this like fallback system. But if you think back to like 2019, dude, the trades took off. It was 2019 and the pandemic. And so there was nobody that wanted to work. And so it was like going to a well that always had water in it. And all of a sudden you're pulling your bucket up and you're like, shit, there's nothing in here. You know what I mean? And that's what happened with me. Was there was no, like, I would call the small companies, hey, I got a job for you. We'll sub this out. They're like, yeah, dude, I'm booked 6 months. We're going on Indeed. No one's even replying to the job postings. And so I had a system, but it wasn't a great system. And it wasn't like, I felt like a prisoner, because here I am with millions and millions of dollars of work at great margins, and I can't do it. It was the worst feeling in business.
Yeah, it sucks. And we've been there and done that. So, with Beltway. So I'm not the owner of Beltway. I'm the general manager. One of my best friends, Ryan, he's a 29-year-old guy, who's the owner of the company. Super smart. Everybody in the chat knows him. Ryan's been on the show several times. But we took it off when I came here and partnered with him. And I say partnered, like I run the day-to-day operations, what I mean. But he's the sole owner. But we took off, and then we started growing so fast. It was like, whoa. Let's back up a little bit. Let's go around, do a little housekeeping, and make sure we reassure the foundation. You know what I mean? Develop some better processes and systems and stuff like that, so that we feel 100% that when this thing does start to take off, it's not going to collapse on itself. And that's exactly what we've been doing. We opened a plumbing division, which has been a headache, but it's going to be amazing. It's just doing all the necessary things in the beginning that you have to do. But we've learned a lot. Sometimes the only way to learn is to fail. That's that's the truth. And people don't want to hear that. And you cannot be scared to fail, or you will never do anything in life.
Well, and that's, looking back, it's such it spawned this huge quest I was traveling the country. I was studying other industries, recruiters, interviews, and I was able to figure out a system of, how do you find candidates? How do you vet them quickly? How do you hire them, right? Like, do you send them the offer letter in the mail? Do you have them come to, like, what do you do? Do you email it to them? And then how do you retain people and maximize their engagement? And that's really what we came about with. And this whole thing, I love this setting because I can be super open. This whole thing was, I never set out to be like, this wasn't anything other than me trying to solve my problem. And then we did, and I was helping other contractors I knew, and my daughter was just born. And my wife was like, listen, you just worked 1 million hours to fix your mistake, and handle the hiring side. And now you got this system, and you're going to coffee shops and nights and weekends helping other people, And so I said, well, let's put this together in a course. So we made the contractor hiring course, and that got, the attention of ZipRecruiter, and actually the co-founder, gave us a great endorsement for what we do. And but all this stuff was accidental. It was just, here's what I learned. I can't give it one-on-one. So I'm going to do it in this course. And then when we started to bring the course out in the world, we got people that were like, this is great, but can you do it for us? And then that brought the next evolution. But kind of like what you said with the podcast earlier, this was, it was never like I set out to be this, I was just a guy that's like, hey, I got to figure this out because there's, 3 generations ahead of me that built this, built this brand and this name, and I'm not going to be the one to screw it up.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I feel like that's how most of the best softwares come from. It's people who had a need who built it, and they're like, oh, I wasn't the only one. Everybody had this pain point. And people are like, dude, I'll buy that. Package it up with a bow, send it over. I'll give you a check. Like, whatever. Like, let me know what it has to do. And I feel like that's amazing. And that's why they're some of the best softwares, because the people who built it are doing the same thing that we're all doing, regardless of what trade you're doing. It's all the same song and dance. Let's be honest. Maybe there's a few things different, but we're all tradesmen. We're all doing the same kind of thing. But so everybody knows, I guess, in a nutshell, what is the contractor consultant?
So we set out, what we do is we're disrupting the way companies hire. So right now, if you want to hire, you got a recruiter you can bring in, you have a staffing agency, or you could do it internally. And I felt like none of those were great because staffing agencies, culture, right? You have people in and out. It's not good for culture. It sucks, right? I've been there, done that in the early days. You got recruiters who charge exorbitant fees. And then if you got somebody who you're on the fence about, you can't try them because you're like, well, I like them, but do I like them 20 grand worth, right? If their salary is, 100 grand a year, it's like, well, maybe not, right? Then you got somebody internal, and that's great. But the problem with hiring is it's become a specialized thing, right? Like back in the day, I equate it to like when we first got a website. I remember we were getting calls. All you had to do was have a website up. If you were one of the first people, your phone was ringing off the hook. Then what happened? Everyone got websites, and this new industry emerged. SEO, right? It was like, now your website needs to show up. And so hiring's a little bit like that, right? There's so many platforms and so many things to know. And so what our company does is we take over the full process, low monthly fee, no contract, and we create the demand. So we write targeted job postings for you. We put them up on the platforms in a proven way. We understand how the back end of these things work. We filter all the junk for you. So like if you tell me I need somebody within 10 miles that has a driver's license, has been in the HVAC industry 5 years, and needs to know how to do this and this, we're going to pre-screen all of that. So you don't see any resumes, no screening calls, nothing. They just show up on your calendar already meeting your criteria. And then we handle like the rejection process and everything else. So I built the company that I was like, this is the stuff that makes no sense to do. Even when I had it, I had an HR team. I'm like, why am I paying him and her to go through resumes? And they're like scrolling. They're like, no. Yeah. It's like, like you said, most of it's junk, right? It's like 83% of resumes are just not even remotely qualified. And so we looked at every area of it and said, how can we, so we're for contractors by contractors, right? And one of the worst things you can do to a contractor is solve a problem by giving them more shit to do. Yeah. Right. It's like, they're like, hey, I'm overstaffed. I don't have enough people. And you're like, all right, well, here's the things you need to do to get more people. It's like, wait a minute, but I don't have enough time to do what I already got to do. And now I got to do more stuff. Yeah. So our whole belief is like, we take it all over. We're like, tell us who you need. Tell us what you've done in the past. And we have a formula for that. And we can get into some of these really fun things that people listening can start doing right away. I'd love to give some like specific things that they can put into place. But yeah, I mean, that's the essence of what we do. And it's fun because we get to disrupt the space. We get to kind of be we're a completely new way to hire. Like, and we become a partner with a company where they own the data. So like, if I have a backlog of candidates, if I'm a recruiter, like you're not any one of those, I get a commission on, but we're not recruiters. So we keep that backlog and you could come back at any point and be like, oh, I want to hire this person. I want that person. I want, let me try these 2 people. We'll bring them in and all that. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a nutshell of what we do.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I love that. And I might have to call you myself because I need some HVAC service guys. I need some commercial plumbers, some residential plumbers. Like we probably just bought like 8 more vans. So it's that's how fast we're growing. But see, and that's what I think that people fail to realize is, especially when they first start in business, they think that they have to do everything. And you don't. For one, find somebody who is better at you at said task and let them do it. They're going to love what they do. They're going to do it better than you would. And sometimes that's in-house and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is hiring a service like yours to take care of a pain point that you have. But it just helps things get smooth and having consistent talent, like you said, you brought up culture, and we're huge about culture. Everybody knows that as far as how we do things. We wanted to create a place that people want to come to work every day. They're paid well. And my job is not to babysit grown adults. It's to give them the resources to go out and fucking kill it. And then make sure that they get bonuses or they're taken care of, to be able to do things in life that they want to do. So that's awesome. I love that aspect. And what we were saying too is we've had the problem, like I was saying in the before, is with Indeed in them, you get so many bullshit things and you're paying for each individual one. Like if you're like, oh, I'm busy today, I can't check it. That's fine. But you better know that you probably just spent $200 on people that don't even live in your state and you got to fight to get refunded back. It's a pain in the ass.
Well, and we do it like the thing we found too is because this is all we're doing the things that, like, for example, and I'll get into more later, but like we keyword and headline test job ads. So like I got something, I mean, I can like here's we're hiring for a company in Texas, Dallas, Texas, right? And they need a project manager. And I had the team pull some stuff. And so the company had the job title. It was hiring construction project manager. And they got 8 qualified applicants. So a qualified applicant is basically somebody that meets all the qualifications that you would want to then pick up the phone and call. Now, we tested a bunch of different headlines internally, right? Because we dive into the really, really, really deep weeds. And the winning one was Elevate Your Career, Project Management Opportunity in Cutting Edge Construction. We got 37 qualified applicants, changing nothing more than a headline and a job posting across all the different platforms. And it's because we have the bandwidth. And now, mind you, we're doing hundreds, over 100,000 resumes a month. So it's like we have all this data of what's working, what's not, what are the keywords, how do you maximize your efficiency? So that's really, hiring became such a time intensive and such a specialized thing. And that's really what we're trying to, who's going to headline test? It's like, you barely have time to do go through resumes.
Yeah, no, that's true. Doing what do they call it? The A/B testing, stuff like that when you're doing it. Yeah, that's huge. And then also the whole thing with ads, and you'll know this better than me. It's, everybody does those bullshit ads where it's, we have great benefits, our culture's good, and we do things the right way. You know what I mean? You have to make your ad stick out different from everybody else's. Like we do, it's funny, and I guess we do interviews different too. Like we'll ask them technical stuff and get to that stuff, and then we ask them, like I'm gonna start singing a song. I want you to finish it. You know what I mean? Like just something stupid, just to make it, and people are like, dude, that was awesome. Like I've never had an interview like this. Like you throw them off at first. It's like, hey, when did you finally? Did your mom finally stop making you chicken nuggets and mac and cheese? And they're like, huh? And one kid was like, damn, dude, probably like 2 years ago. I was like, oh, that's funny. But just trying to mix it up and be different. How do you guys, like, what platforms do you use to find said people? Just social media?
There's a bunch, right? So we've got, you ZipRecruiter, Indeed. I was laughing because one of the things to touch on what you said with the interviews, one thing we found, one little trick is asking about, and I'm sure you do this, but is asking about, I love the pattern interrupt that you said, by the way. Like that's such a cool, making it fun, and that's putting your culture at the forefront too. We encourage our clients to ask if they have photos of work that they've done, because there's a staggering, like we have data on this. It is ridiculous. The amount of field related roles that somebody will sit there and say, like, they're like, oh, I love my trade. I love what I do. I'm so passionate about it. And they'll go on and on and on. I'll be like, great. By the way, do you have any pictures? Like, I'd love to see what you've done recently. And they're like, oh, well, actually, as well as I do, anybody that's real passionate about what they do, like, so whoever mentioned earlier about the ductwork behind it, like, you're seeing it all the time. You love it. You take pictures. And so that's an interesting little trick in terms of like when you're doing the interviews, and then you can dive into like, all right, what do you do on this project? Right? Like what part of this was yours? And you get into the weeds of like a little bit of that technical, but you just made me think of that. Cause like your questions, what you do is great. I love that. I'm going to steal that. The chicken nuggets one.
Yeah, it's just you ask dumb questions that they don't think they're going to answer, and then all of a sudden you realize people let their guard down. Like when you come in our office, it's always bright, it's vibrant. We have a sound system placed, and there's always music playing. Just because it just gives you that kind of vibe. In the back, we have cornhole boards. It's just things like that. It's a little bit. You sacrifice small things for the greater good, and it seems to work. The first thing I love is when people walk in the door, whether actual employees, and they have a smile on their face. Hey, good morning, Gil. Hey, good morning, buddy. How you doing today, man? Like they're happy, and it's amazing how you see that in their numbers, their average ticket, all kinds of things. Celebrating their wins, and
Yeah.
and obviously bringing people on board is hard because you have a short time to make a decision on somebody. And we always say, me and Ryan always say that for me to hire somebody, it's would I let you watch my dog and would I want to drink a beer with you? And if I answer no to any of those questions, you're probably not going to come back for a second interview. Um, and you also have to fit into the culture. We've built such a strong culture that our team polices themselves.
Yeah.
Like my crew of OGs will come and be like, hey, this guy's a nice guy, but just my opinion, he's not going to work. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, why? And or sometimes they'll call me and be like, hey, Gil, this was awesome. Like, I love this guy. Like, I'm so happy you hired him. Cool, man. Cool. I appreciate it. I don't always take their input, or care, but I shouldn't say it that way. I care, but whether I'm going to take their input or not, I'm still listening to it. They feel like they have a say in what happens. So, and you learn that when you're running a business. Sometimes you can have the idea, but you have to make them think it's their idea.
Always. Yeah. The
You know?
empowerment
Yeah.
to get that buy-in. I love that. And then what do you, I'm sure you have like a video, do you have a career video that showcases like all the cool stuff you do? So if someone's hiring, they could see in 60 seconds, the cornhole, the smiles, the people. Do you have that kind of as an advertisement on the career page?
No. And it's funny you say that because so we do have a bunch of videos, but we've literally been talking about doing something like that. So it's so funny you said that. So no, but yes, we're going to do it.
Game changer, the career videos. Cause what we find is you're right. Like it's having that amazing culture, but it's two parts, right? If you don't have a great culture that you're excited about, there's a big need there because it's circular, right? If you bring good people into bad culture, they'll leave. So,
Yeah.
but if you have that amazing culture, what we find with a lot of our clients, because we get to work with the cool companies that are growing and doing great stuff, it's showcasing now. How do you show people what it is that's great? So, like a couple of things we do. One, the career video, right? So 60 to 90 seconds, and it's just testimonials of like your OGs. It's showing the cornhole, it's showing the smiles and why people work for you. The other thing is interviewing the people that are there and sitting down with some of your favorite people and saying, all right, what is it you love about working here? What is it that you enjoy? And if you can distill that into like the top 3 things, that should be front and center on the career page and on the job posting with that video. Because now you've got the bullet points, right? It's like an ad when you try and get clients. It's like, here's an image or video of how great we are. And then here's like 3, really exciting things you'll get from working with us. Because that's the attention span. And that model works really, really well. And we find like what you're saying, like that stuff's, that on the front of an ad, a job ad is, I want to work there.
Yeah. We tell people, so we put it in print, but the video would be powerful. 100% seeing it would be believing it. But we do company fun days where we'll go Top Golf, go-kart. It's like, hey, you're paid for the day and we're going to pay for everything that we do. And people are like, you do what? I'm like, yeah, come on, dude. Like, let's go have fun today. Just building the team, or we do a bunch of stuff in the office. Like we'll do breakfast, or me and Ryan will make breakfast. And yeah, we're not the best cooks. We could have bought food, but seeing their bosses, the owner of the company and the general manager over there making them breakfast is a powerful thing. Sometimes I clean the bathroom. just to show them that I'm not bigger than anybody, and I would never ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And what we do with a lot of the younger guys when they come in is a moral test. I'll be like, hey man, I need you to go clean the bathrooms. All the stuff's over here. And if they say, man, well, I don't clean bathrooms, or I wasn't hired to clean bathrooms, it's, hey man, here's $200 for the day. I appreciate you coming in. Have a good one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then you're not my material. I want you to clean that bathroom with a smile on your face, um, and do whatever I ask you to do. So it's just trying to be different, man. And it's because everybody nowadays preaches culture, culture, culture. But a lot of people are just full of shit, to be honest. And I tell people, like, we can have a great culture, you can have a great culture, a bunch of other people can too, but no culture is the same. You know what I mean? They're all different because of the people involved. So it's not something like we can do some of the same things, but the result may be a little different because the people are different, so it's different.
Yeah, you got to know the company. Like me, when my construction company, we did one of the things they wanted. We did a spinning wheel, so we got poker chips branded, and we do the breakfast too. We did that, and we would do a company of like a big event once a month, and we did these company branded poker chips, and we encouraged like our site superintendents and our project managers for everyone in the field to just start giving these out for like great reviews, or we built like a criteria list, and it was funny because we built this wheel and there was all kinds of fun stuff. Like you could win gas cards and Airbnb gift cards and, really cool. We made one sliver one year. We made a really tiny sliver and it was $1 an hour race for a year, but it was so tiny on the wheel. And so everyone's all excited, they're all spinning this thing. And we put on there, one of the big blocks was, somebody got to pick the last prize. That was the prize for that wheel because we didn't know what it was. And they put rubber chicken. And so 3 months after doing this, I had like, of my 14 crews, I think 12 or 13 of them, the crew leads all had rubber chickens. And so like, that was the fun thing at my company, that every work truck had a rubber chicken. And like, who would have thought that would mean something? It was like this funny culture thing that was right for us. But, for other companies, it might not fit. So yeah, you're right. That culture is so specific to the people, to the management, to the leadership. It's like, what fits your group?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And plus, I just like coming up in the trades, and it's probably like this for you too. It was, work, work, work. You work 80 hours a week if you have to, and that's just what we do because we're blue collar guys. And I get it. I did it. But what if we just did a better quality of work, but you still had your family time? Like I want these people to I want you to be at your kid's ball game or your daughter's dance rehearsal or whatever it is that you do. I want you to be there because you can't get that time back. We can always make money. Somebody else can do that call. Um, and I try to make myself available, even though I have people under me that can do things. I always wanted to be that boss that I never had. And I had some good ones, but there's plenty of times that I was out late and I'd call and I got no answer. I didn't know what to do. And my wife knows. I don't care if it's Christmas Eve and or Christmas dinner. If one of my techs has to run a call and they call me, I'm answering the fucking phone, point blank, period. That's just the way it's gonna work. But and the other thing is I love to see them exceed, even though some of them are my age or close. It's like they're like your children, they're like your kids. And I love to see them exceed. So I get them to do and it's all started going to like a dollar store. I bought a bunch of little white dry erase boards. I walked into a service meeting one day and I threw them on the table. I said, everybody grab one. I said, I want you to write down your goals for 3 days, 3 months, 3 years. And I want you to be realistic. And then we're going to figure out how we can help you get those things. And two of our youngest techs, both of them, one was, they're making over $100,000 a year at 19, 20 years old. Actually, they're probably closer to $150,000 a year. One of them is engaged to get married, which he doesn't know that we're probably going to, well, not me, but the owner's probably going to give him a lump sum to go towards his wedding. You know what I mean? Like just little things like that, helping them, be successful. And that's why part of our we have something called an MVP statement, the mission, the vision, the promise. And One of them is to, have a 5-star culture that, I'm trying to say it without saying it, but pretty much the whole thing is to be able to create this thing where, yes, we want you to be successful at work and send you for training and all this kind of stuff. But if you come to me and you're like, man, I want to get better at my finances. Like, I don't understand how to save money. Like, we're going to help you at whatever you need help with, not just teaching you how to fix, air conditioners or how to sell them or whatever it is. It's, we're doing this as a team, as a family, and we'll help you do anything that you need. And it's worked great. I mean, we've had guys that were doing pretty bad that we sent to rehab. Granted, they ended up not working out, but
Yeah.
doesn't mean I wouldn't do it again. Everybody knows my story. I was a piece of shit drug addict years ago. Never thought I'd do anything. So the fact that I'm still here is, I got a soft spot. So I'm willing to help anybody that's willing to help themselves. So we just try to do those different things. And I don't know how I went down this rabbit hole, but sorry.
Well, no, I think it's funny because like I'm not, I don't have a business background, right? So for me, I got to simplify everything. So when I look at culture, to me, I'm like, culture is just this word that means, what does it mean, right? It's just like almost like corporate, like what is culture? So for me, I've got 4 F's. I look at finances. Is the person making good money and can they continue to make good money or more money, right? I look at friends. Do they get to work with people they feel like are friends? Family, do they get to spend time with their family, and is their work their extended family, right? And then it's fun. Where are you having fun? And I think if you could hit those 4 F's, if you literally wrote on a sheet of paper 1, 2, 3, 4 and put bullet points underneath, right? Or rated yourself. I've never met a company like everything you described. I was like, shoot, okay, finances. You talked about the money. I was like, you talked about the fun. I was like, you talked about family, right? I was like, you hit all 4 of them.
Yeah, and that's
friends,
just, yeah,
like those.
I love that. And I've never thought about it that way. But yeah, it's huge to me, man. It's just, we've all, and some people still work at those companies, so I don't want to doubt it. But those big companies where, and it sounds corny when we say this, but it's the truth. We want to be big enough to be there for our customers, but small enough to still care. And there's a fine line. And I get it. Maybe nobody starts out saying, you know, I want to be this shit company, but I'm just gonna, as long as they're making money, I don't give a shit what customers say. Um, so I don't even know where I was going with that, but we try to do things, just a little bit different, and so far it's good. And I tell people, if your culture's good, kind of to rewind is, you shouldn't have to say it. The employees will. You'll know. You'll see it in reviews. Hey, this guy was awesome, and just so you know, he really loves his job, or he really loves what he does, or something like that. Like you'll get the feedback to know what you're doing is working, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I mean, in the old days when I was figuring out hiring, I used to look at the reviews of my competitors, and the name that they mentioned the most was the person that I was like, I want that person right there, because that was the person that they made such a lasting impact, and we used to see it. Like this was way back when I was trying to figure out like what's the hiring model, like how does this work. I remember I would go and shop all my competitors' reviews, and I'd be like, who is the person? And you'd see it was usually like a top 3, 4, or 5, and it just kept being the same names, right? They did this amazing thing and that, and you're like, wow, it made it. It's a huge big upside for the company too.
Yeah, it is. What I was saying about the big companies is you end up being a name. I mean, not a name, you're a number. You call HR and it's like, hey, it's Gil. Oh, well, what's your employee ID number? It's like, I'm literally the only Gil that works here. Yeah, I know you, Gil, but what's your employee number? Like when you work here, like your name, that's the only thing you're ever going to be identified by. There's no employee number, nothing like that. So, um, and it's fun. I like learning different ways. And I've always loved to help people. It's just rewarding, how they say it's better to give than it is to receive, and it's the same with trying to teach things. It's a good time. Um, but before we get into talking, I know you said you had some things that you would love to talk about, certain topics of how you do things. I didn't want to skip over that.
I got no agenda, Gil. This is your thing. I'm just happy to be here. I love what you got. I love what you got going on. Yeah, I mean, whatever you think is helpful. I can go into some of the stuff we do that that helps companies. We can talk about culture. I mean, I love all this. So I'm easy.
Yeah, no, it's good, but I also want people to know when they listen to this podcast, I want them to leave in like, damn, dude, Matt can solve my problems for me, you know? So that's why, like, and, you know, how are you different? Why? So these owners that listen to this podcast, you know, why should they call the contractor consultant? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd love to get into so the way it starts is if you're a company and you want to hire, most companies have a revenue goal, right? So most companies can tell you, even if you're small, three, four, five people in the company, you still, if you're doing 200 grand, you want to go to four, right? You have a financial target that you want to achieve, and what we find is most companies haven't taken the time to put the org structure or the people needed in order to facilitate or to hold that revenue. So like I've sat with people where they're like, "Oh man, I'm doing $1 million this year." I'm like, "Where do you want to go there?" "I want to go to two." "Okay, so you got 1 million now. You want to go to two?" "Okay. Well, what do you think? You think you can get there?" "Yeah, I can get there." "Can you get more work?" "Yeah." "Okay. What are the people? How many more people do you need to hire?" They go, "Well," and so they go through this exercise and they go, "Well, I need 6 more people." "Great. Do you have a plan? Are you confident you can hire those 6 people?" "Well, maybe." Right. And so that's, I think, what hiring is such a big important thing, but it's like, what are we hiring for? We're hiring to replicate and grow the business we already have. So now it's okay. It's really important and it's costing us money and it could cost us our revenue goals not to do this. How do you do it and do it well? Well, it starts with a little bit about what we talked about, but a lot of companies, some of them will say, well, there's no good people out there. Well, all you got to do is Google your service and look and find that there's 50, 100, or 200 people doing the same business. To think that there's nobody out there is a little bit of a misnomer. So now that you know there's people out there, the question becomes, well, how do you get them? What do you do? So we like to start with the question of would you work for you? And there's two parts to this. One is taking a look at hiring from the candidate's perspective. So, like Gil, if you've ever done this, right? Have you ever looked up where you live, like HVAC technician in your city, and
Oh,
seen
yeah.
what comes up? And know your hiring competitors, of course, right? So you
Yeah.
know exactly who you're competing against on the hiring side, so that you can do better than them. What are they offering for pay? What positions do they have open? What competitors are going after your people? So it starts with that, and then it starts with the online audit too, right? So you're auditing your company, and you're looking at, okay, do I have a career video like we talked about that shows my company in 30 to 60 seconds? Do I have a career page? What does my company look like online? What are my customer reviews like? So that's kind of the strong foundation to the process. And then once you have that, you got to figure out in 3 to 5 bullet points why you should work at your company. And we find that there's two extremes. One is the company's doing so many good things. They're like, well, I got this, I got that, I got this. And it's like, yeah, but we got to boil it down to the 3 to 5 biggest ones. And other companies are like, well, I don't know if what I do is too exciting. And once you have that, then you start to be able to go into the next step, which is how do you get in front of candidates? And there's so many ways to do that. When we built the course, we had 37 different ways to get in front of candidates, from like referral incentives for your team to like, things you can do with partners and suppliers to, I mean, I could literally spend 2 hours just going. I think the course content on that part is about an hour and a half, but that's the big thing, is now how do you get that message now that you've got the right video, you've got the right bullet points as to why someone should work there. You have exciting incentives like you talked about, which is being able to go on trips and breakfast and all this stuff. um all of that stuff is really important.
Is that your computer?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know what that is. I heard that it's not a big deal. I was just looking around. I'm like, man, what the hell is that noise? Um,
It might be.
but yeah, no, that all that stuff is huge. It comes down to like you're empowering people. That's how you grow. That's how you become sustainable. Even though I've seen companies that have been around for a long time, but there's no there's no long tenured people that work there. It's like it's always a new crew. And I don't know how they stay in business like that, because you got to have your core people. You're going to have some people that revolve. That's just kind of the nature of the business, but you got to have those core people. And I don't it used to be like in the old days, it was like, hey, this is what we do. If you don't like it, then go find somewhere else. Well, especially at least in our field, there's a shortage of HVAC technicians. They have all the power. If you're good at what you do and a company is not treating you right, see what else is out there. Because trust me, somebody else is going to have the culture you want and is going to treat you the way you need to be treated. So, um, that's you know pretty amazing. So how do you vet these people? Like say I hired you tomorrow. Not to
Yeah.
ask you a question and keep talking, but say I hired you tomorrow and I'm like, hey, I told you what I need. I need a HVAC service tech, and some plumbers. What would be the process? Like, what will we go about? Would I talk with your team before it happens, give you information, or what would those steps be?
Yeah, we've got our whole process is completely like, it's all sequential, but basically you come in and you say, hey, this is what we need. We're going to audit your local area and figure out some of the things that you need to do to make sure you're the best version of that locally, right? Because we want you to win. That's first step. Then once we've done that, we're going to go into what are the things you're doing that make you better, right? Because we want to put your best foot forward online, which were some of the things that we talked about. And then we're going to post to tons of different job boards, right? In a lot of cases, we're posting over 25 or 30, but we're doing it from the headlines and the job postings that we know work. So we've got data, right? We've got dozens of HVAC companies that we know certain headlines work better with the algorithm, things like that. I think the big thing is not so much the front end; it's how do you quickly sift, sort, and screen them, which is what we do. But we're going to put those final vetted interviews on your calendar. So we're going to be responsible for making sure that you're getting the people. So we're taking care of all that. We're taking care of the messaging to make sure your company shows up online. And then you're getting those final vetted candidates. And we've got a weekly summary. So it's going to talk about, number of resumes we screened, how many people you got, what the feedback was, so that we're able to continue to refine what we do for you. But a big thing, and I'm sure you have this, but is a skills assessment in the process. So if you're hiring field techs, it's like bringing them to your shop, quickly being able to vet them, because not all this stuff shows up on a resume. I mean, if you're in the trades, it's like, some of these people, we're not, at least I wasn't. I was never a good interviewer as well as I was a good person, like you said, which is the mac and cheese thing. It's like, I didn't, I grew up in a family business, so I wasn't going around interviewing at tons of different places.
Yeah, and I also get that people are nervous, so I'll even ask them some like dumb trick questions, and I think that's where those dumb questions get people to just relax a little bit. You know what I mean? And it goes a long way, because especially people who care. If you care, like, one thing that's big for me is if I have an interview, um, and you show up late, I'm not hiring you. I don't. You have to blow me away, because to me, time is important, and I'm not a time Nazi with my technicians. Um, I pretty much tell them you have to be at your first call by 9 o'clock. Most of them start 7:30, 8 o'clock, but I just say, hey, you got to be your first call by 9. If you work late, don't call the office bitching because you started late. That's on you. But when it comes to an interview, if you're supposed to be there at 1 o'clock, to me, you should be there by 12:45. That's just old fashioned, kind of military time frame. That's the way it should work. Um, Things happen if they call and they communicate. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. They communicate, blah blah blah. But if you're supposed to be there at 1, you show up at 1:15. There's not a chance in hell I'm hiring you. Just little things like that happen. Um, how fast is the turnaround? Like how long does this process take to get set up? So once again, I hire you tomorrow. I'm like, hey, I need said people. How long does it take for that? I get
I
it. It's
mean,
not like flipping a switch.
we have clients that sometimes get candidates within 3 to 4 days, like, because we are setting stuff up in the background based on what we already know. I mean, we're doing, like, this is all we do, right? So there's no, we're not going to do your marketing, your SEO. Like, we do one thing and we do it extremely well. And so it's not like, for us, it's about streamlining the process, right? So we got our job descriptions. We already know what you're looking for. If you tell us in the onboarding paperwork. So it's all about streamlining the process and making sure that you're not doing the job postings, you're not doing resume scraping, you're not doing any initial scheduling. All you're doing is, like, the onboarding will look like this. We have a questionnaire that you're going to fill out so we can get a jump start right away, writing job descriptions and headlines and understanding what makes your company great. and studying the local market. And then when we meet with you, we're like, all right, here's what we think represents your company and your culture. What do you think? And you go, well, change this. Maybe we add this in there. We like it. But again, this is all we do. And we've looked at your company website. We've looked at your reviews. So our job is to take your company and what's unique and put that in a job description based on the questions we ask. And then we're responsible. So like, to give you an idea, when we do this, we have a full 60-day money back guarantee. That's how confident we are that you are going to be happy in what we do.
Nice.
Because there's no bullshit. Like I'm not a recruiter. We're a service company that does hiring, but we do it the same way construction or HVAC companies. It's like, look, I don't want somebody's money if they're not going to be happy in what we do. You know what I mean? And that's how we're able to do that, is because we do one thing, we do it well, and we take all that off of your plate. So that's how it would look. It would look like an onboarding. You'd expect to get candidates within 3 to 7 days. It'll depend a little bit based on, where you're located and how tough of a position. Typically, the way the monthly works, it's 3 positions we're doing. So you might be like, oh, I need techs, and then I have 2 other positions that I have open that I want to fill. Maybe you got an office manager or a bookkeeper. We do those too. We also do C-suite roles. So maybe you need to bring somebody in like at the C-suite level. But that's kind of the process. And then we're handling all of it. Like, you are literally doing that second phase interview, telling us what you liked, what you didn't like. And if you're hiring them, great, we let them know and you handle that. And if you're saying no, you guys don't even do the rejections. We handle all of that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I told you these guys bust my balls. I'm talking about time, and one of the guys that's in here all the time, Sam, says the guy who's usually late on the live show.
That's fun.
Hey, it's my show, Sam. Get off my ass, man. All right. I was talking to Matt before the show started, and we got carried away. But he's not wrong. But yeah, some of these guys are some of these comments are funny.
These are great.
Yeah, one of the guys was busting your balls. He said, I don't know if I can trust a guy that can't grow a full beard.
Man, look, I don't blame you, dude. I can't. I wear it though. I'm not here to hide. This is what I got.
Yeah, it's funny, guys, because me and him were talking about the beard beforehand. Yeah, Semper Fi, fellas, devil dogs. I might be late for my own funeral. You never know. And it's funny for this because I normally in like the podcast is different because of what it all the different things, but day to day I'm actually kind of anal about time. So I think maybe that's why I let loose when it comes to the podcast. Because it's more about having fun. Yes, this is a business. Don't get me wrong. This podcast makes money, but it's not as critical. But even though I should be, so it is funny that my day to day, I'm very particular when it comes to time, but not so much with the podcast.
Speaking of that, I didn't even mention this. We get to all the candidates within 10 minutes. So like when they apply, because we have a department and that's all they do, like resume comes in within 10 minutes, we're reaching out. So, that whole process of like, get them in, get them spoken to, get them scheduled right away, talk to them, pre-screen, send them to you if they're good. Like, we're able to do that super efficient. And when the market's really, when the market's tight like it is now, if you don't have that ability, even if you have an HR person, it's like, oh, I got to onboard somebody for 3 hours. Well, if a great resume comes in when they start, like, we're able to hit that right away, call them, get on the phone. And I think that's also been kind of a little benefit that I don't know that we thought as much would, we didn't think as much about that, but like having the specialization of people in real time, and that's all they're doing, that's what we can get.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I feel like that happens, and that's another thing when you have to do with Indeed. Like I said, another reason why you have to watch it, so you're not being charged for the BS. Also, the ones that are good, you got to weed through the bullshit, and then you got to make sure you get back to them on in a timely manner, because sometimes it's like, oh shit, this guy posted 2 weeks ago. He might already have a job. Or you get people that search they put their resume up just to do it, but they're not really looking for a job. You have some of those people that kind of waste the time. But so let me ask you this. Do you have, is it pricing based on how many people you're looking or size of company, or is it kind of a one size fits all? Like, this is how much we charge to perform said service. Or how does that work? You don't have to give direct numbers.
I can say the number. I'm an open book. I just don't, I can tell you how we do I mean, if you want to know, I can tell you how it's structured.
Yeah, rock and roll, man.
Yeah. So we do it basically. We do 3 positions, up to 3 positions actively. Anything above that is like a custom pricing. It's $1,500 a month, and then there's an onboarding at the front end. So depending on what we need to build out, because we'll build out a custom career page. So we'll build that page for you based on the data we have. So there's like a front end kind of, depending on what you already have built out. You guys would be like more advanced than that, so it'd be less front end work. But there's a front end. And then it's $1,500 a month. We manage the job postings, resume screenings, job descriptions, headline testing, like all of it. We're looking at, where did this person come from? What headline? What made them good? And that's how we do it. And then we have a maintenance mode. So like, let's say, for example, you're like, hey, I've hired, 2 of the 3. I'm good. We bump you down into what we call the bench, and we're still actively pulling people in. We're just keeping them warm. So that way, a lot of our clients are seasonal, and they'll come to us after 2 or 3 months and say, hey, I want to turn it back on. Well, guess what? We've got 3 months of people that only one of 2 things have happened. Either they just started a job and maybe they don't love it, or they are still looking. So we've got this model that allows people to, it's meant to really, I think the reason we've grown so fast, I think this month we onboarded 46 clients, we're up to about 12 or 14 a week. And we're growing exponentially, I think, is because money back guarantee, we own the full result. And because there's like, just on the administrative work alone, like when you take out posting on jobs and writing job descriptions and doing the initial interviews, that alone pays for itself, not including anything else.
No, that is awesome. So when you go from live to maintenance mode, does the price that you pay per month change, or how does it?
$500 a month.
Oh, okay, I must not have heard that. No, that's pretty sweet. And the page you build, where does that go? Attached to our website, or somewhere special, or where do you put that?
It goes to a page that we can track. So when they like, if for example, let's say a job posting, they click the link, right? It'll go to a custom page with imagery, headlines, a link to that video if you have one. Like, we've got a formula for like, this is the highest conversion on this page. So it's the thing with the hiring process is, with most companies that have employees, it's less about like, there's no silver bullet, right, Gil? There's nothing like, there's no one thing that I can be like, this is going to solve your hiring forever. Yeah. It's a lot of little things done well, right? It's like understanding your company and putting your best foot forward. It's having a career page template that we know works. It's the headline testing. It's getting the candidates within 10 minutes. It's all of these things as a formula is what I think is the key to our success, not any one thing that some people ask me that. I'm like, there's no one thing per se that's definitely going to get you there, but you do enough little things. You look better online than your competitors, right? You got better things to offer. You have incentives that excite the person applying. You got a killer video that's like, I watch it for 30 seconds. I'm like, man, this company looks cool. I'm going to apply. Boom, I apply. I get a response within 10 minutes. It's like, oh, wow, they're fast. They're asking questions, right? Okay, great. We'll get you scheduled. We have your calendar up, right? Or whoever's handling it. Yeah, I can put you in at this time right here. Does that work? Great. Boom. Now they're getting text confirmations, right? Because all our systems built out. They show up right after that. You immediately get an alert to tell us whether or not you like the candidate and why, so that we can then put that into a feedback loop. And then there's a weekly summary of all of this information and everything we're doing to move this forward each week.
That's awesome. I love that. So how long have you guys been around now? How long have you been going?
Yeah. So we've been doing this about 1 year and 3 months now. The course prior to that was about 8 months. We started with the 63 video module course. So it's how do you find candidates? There's over 37 different ways. We go into how to approach trade schools, how to approach suppliers. Literally right down to the email you could send a trade school to get access to their alumni list, or but so we built this course, and then on the back of that, people were like, this is great, but again, the time thing. And so that's why we said, all right, well, if we're going to do this, how do we solve the big issue that companies face, which is, I don't have the time. If I have somebody in the office, I'm paying them more than the task at hand, right? It's like, why would I have my HR manager sifting through resumes? They should be focusing on culture. They should be making sure they're having fun. They should be doing the employee onboardings. Like, there's so many better things to do than to screen resumes, and the demand part's big, right? Like, how do you get people to want to apply to your job? That's one of the things we figured out. Like, I gave you the example with the headline testing. right? I mean, that's a 3x with just one piece. Imagine then the benefits. Imagine then a career video. Imagine then the response within 10 minutes. Like that whole candidate experience is elevated compared to most of what's out in the marketplace.
Yeah, for sure. And I love what you do now, and the videos were probably awesome, but I feel like n- and this happened with me too. I've gotten better with it over the years is people get really excited with good information, but then they never implement it. Implementation is part of the problem. So, um now what you're doing is rather the videos, even though it's powerful and those people that are hungry can take that information and use it, but 9 out of 10 of those clients that you have are going to watch those videos and never do a fucking thing with them. And that's just the truth.
Yeah, you're right, Gil. And that's what, and our thing was, and we realized that, I mean, I built it because there were so many people around me that needed the information, and I was doing webinars and I was doing speaking, and I was like, people just wanted the tips to like, what's happening, like what's working, what do you see that works? And because what we found works, we're in the US, we're in the Canada, we're currently looking at the UK, and when we're going to break into that market in Australia, like our formula, like once we had the system, that's what the course I got excited about it was, because I was like, this is a system, like this is replicable. I mean, we had a client in Alaska, right? We have, right? And he's like, I don't know if there's anybody here. We did our exercise. We showed him, he had 3 other competitors. We figured out roughly based on the number of trucks, how many people they had. We're like, look, there's people here. And the good news for you is there's only a few. And, we talked about how to create that excitement and all of that. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, we get to work with, I think we're a lot of different types of companies, all within the construction space. But it's cool to see. And what's really cool is how much money we save our clients. So like if you hire somebody in 4 weeks, let's say, you've paid us, let's say $1,500 plus onboarding. A recruiter, that position might have been 15% of salary. So we're able to save the company's money and time, which is kind of our whole mission in the space.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that. So do you still have your construction company or are you okay?
Yeah. That business. I mean, this company helped fill the positions that were needed in that business in order for me to spend the time doing what I enjoy most right now, which is helping construction business owners grow their teams. But
That's awesome.
yeah, I mean, I didn't see my dad a lot growing up, not, and that was the big thing for me. Like he worked all the time, and the hiring for him was something he struggled with. And so there's a little bit of a personal mission here, because I never went to a ball game with my dad. I never, like, if I wanted to see my dad, it was on a job site. Like that was it. He was like, you want to spend Sunday with me? He's like, I'll be laying brick at this address. You can come. And that was, maybe I got to toss a football for 10 minutes during lunch. So this mission and what we're doing is really about, helping great companies become even better and giving great candidates a place to work. But that's my little kind of reason why I get up every day.
That's awesome, man. Good. That's good for you. And I'm glad to see what you're doing in a year. So how many clients, like not like just a round number, how many clients you think you guys have now?
That's a good question. I know at the end of the year, we'll have somewhere between 800 and 1,000. Right now, I think we're probably at the last report I got, we're probably in the high 200s.
That's awesome.
We onboarded 40 some odd this month. So I think we'll probably, we're growing quick.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love seeing that, man. Especially like I said in the beginning, seeing people create new business opportunities to fix something that they had with their trade company, which I think is awesome, and like is normally the ones that are successful because we all have the same pain points. And I've seen a lot of things come out when it's come to hiring, and they're all cool. They're all different, as far as how they do it. But I definitely think the old system's broken. So if like that's kind of like nowadays, if you're like, man, my marketing budget, I'm gonna make sure I get in the yellow pages, and you're gonna be like, hey, man, it's not 1995, and hiring is different. Times have changed. You have to change what you're doing. If you're not evolving with the times, then that's why you're not getting the people you need, and that's gonna be a constant pain point because you're not adjusting, you're not changing, so therefore your results aren't gonna change.
Yeah, and I mean, that was for us. There's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of information out there. And so for me, that's why we built a company where I was like, two things are important. Number one, we're going to own the end result, right? So we're not coaching people. We have a course if they want to do it themselves, but like, I'm not coaching people on how to hire. I'm saying you hire us and we will get these people for you. Like that is our value proposition. I don't know that a lot of companies are doing that. And the fact that we were able to do it so confidently with a full money back guarantee where it's like, hey, as long as you're getting back to these candidates and following some basic stuff as a client, we have no issue. And I'm grateful to say that, we that has not become a problem at all. But because that's what I want, right? Like if I'm talking about me, I'm like, I want you to like, say what you're going to do and do what you're going to say.
Yeah.
And in the hiring space, it's like, you got recruiters doing that, but they're waiting for you to get in trouble and they got a lot of clients, and are they focusing on you? Maybe, maybe not. A lot of them like to hire quick, in the first few weeks. And if they can't, that the candidates kind of taper down a little bit because the account's not so profitable.
So let me ask you this. How can candidates reach out to you knowing that you have people that are looking for people? Is there a way, or do they have to find each individual, page or post or whatever it is to answer? Is there something for a guy like, hey, do you have any companies? Like I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm looking for a good company.
Yeah, I mean, my hope is that in a year and a half, we're big enough where it's like that's the goal, is that we're in every city and every state, and we're doing this for companies where it's like somebody can come up and say, "Hey, I just finished school. What do you got? What do you got around me?" And we're like, "Hey, we got this awesome company," because we get to see a little bit of the behind the scenes, and really our mission is to amplify great companies. But right now, we get candidates that reach out, but it's usually in relation to a client that we're working with, and they're reaching out to us directly, and we're bringing them then through our process.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Um, Damn, dude, I really don't want to end this, but we're at an hour, so sadly, I got to start closing this out. If I do them too long, guys start wrecking bands when they listen to the audio and stuff, and we can't have that. But Matt, I want to thank you so much for coming on, dude. I think this is awesome. I love the story about fixing a pain point for you and your family's business, and now this is going to be able to take care of pain points for a lot of other industries, a lot of other trades that still have the same problem with finding qualified applicants to be able to fill these roles as we're trying to grow our company. So, um, yeah, man, congrats on your success. This is awesome. Definitely stay in touch, man. I'd love you to have you to come back on, talk about this another time. And I'd like to be in touch myself, just to talk and see what's going on because even though we put out a buttload of money this month, but I we need people, and sometimes in order to do that, you got to put some money out. So um, we may be interested ourselves. So I think I'm going to talk about it tomorrow in our management meeting. I'm gonna throw it in the middle of the table like a grenade and see what happens.
Let me give you a peek under the hood. We'll show you what we do and give you the kind of the real deep dive into it. I mean, I probably didn't do it the best, the best justice, because there's so much we do, and I don't want to get sometimes too hung up in the weeds. But you got a killer audience here. I'm really grateful to be a part of this, Gil. I mean, you're like I said. I mean, we talked for 2 minutes, and I was like, man, I feel like I've known you my whole life. It's that trades thing. Like if you grew up in the field, or you worked, or you sweat on a job site. I think that's something that just comes through with people. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, man, you too. That's one thing people know, man. I'm what you see is what you get. I may be an asshole sometimes, but I'm that same asshole all the time. I'm consistent. So I appreciate that, man. But yeah, definitely. You have my email, or it's just info@hvacuncensored.com. Please get in touch, and then I'll give you my number or whatever. So whatever we have to do to work it out. And I'm definitely, and obviously, if I can help you guys in any way, help grow this thing, get the name out, or whatever it is, please let me know. I'm more than happy to do that. Anybody who's listening right now, if you are interested in, talking to Matt and seeing his company and signing up for the contractor consultants, I have a link in the show notes of this. It'll be in the video, it'll be in the audio. You can click, go to their website, and just go there and see what they have to offer. So I tried to make that easy for you guys to be able to get to them. So,
Appreciate that, Gil. Thank you.
yep. Thank you, buddy. If you want to, you can hang tight. If you got to go, I get it. I'm going to go ahead and close this thing out.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. All right, party people. Why is this thing acting funny? Let me unmirror. Unmirror. Unlock. There we go. Now I'm facing this way. I hope you guys enjoyed this, man. And I know a lot of you are technicians in here. You're not necessarily owners or managers, nothing like that. But you've all had to apply somewhere. You've all had to go through the interviewing process. And, maybe you have a good experience or maybe you have a horrible experience being able to find, said job. And it's a problem, man. Like, and I know everybody has it. Having avenues for you guys, the technicians, to be able to find a good job and find the job that you want that's going to change your life and put you in a situation that you've never been able to do before. And then also a company being able to find qualified applicants is humongous. And I know it firsthand. We're going through it. We're growing so fast that I can't hire enough people fast enough. And sometimes we're taking risk on people and it sucks when you're like, man, this isn't going to work. But it's the nature of the business. You got to just, take it on the chin and keep rolling on to the next one. So anything that makes that easier is pretty awesome. So, any of you out there listening, like I said, if you are having the pain point, which I can't imagine you're not, because this is kind of a trade industry thing. I don't care whether you're a bricklayer, a mason, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, cable. I don't care what you do. Pest control. We all got you know, the same problems. With that being said, I'm going to close this out. So, guys, yes, thank you all for commenting on the veto thing. I'm going to make the video in the next couple of days. I was talking to Rookie last night. My oldest son, Tyler, he works for me now, but he also he got into a car accident Monday. He's okay, but the car is trashed. I'll post some pictures tomorrow so you guys see it. We'll see if it's going to be totaled. Airbags didn't deploy, so I've been dealing with that. And it's always something, but no excuses. But yeah, we're gonna get that veto bag given away, and I'm probably gonna throw something in the mix too. You don't have to be live, you don't have to be present to win. So I'll make a video announcing the winner, showing, like I said, showing the thing. But you do not have to be present to win. You just had to be present during that live stream. And I know the people who were there. So as long as you were there, you're eligible to win. So I want to thank all of you for coming here tonight, man. I appreciate each and every one of your support, man. I love you guys. You guys know I'm always here for you in any way. Trying, like, slowly getting this thing back on track, and trying to play catch up to give things away, get things shipped out, all that kind of stuff. Just bear with me. I promise I will make it up to you. With that being said, man, remember, be safe out there, man. We all have somebody to make it home to. Keep your head on a swivel. When you're driving, be careful, okay? Pay attention to what you're doing. Get off your phone, put it down. Pay attention to the other people. Make sure the breaker's turned off. All those little things. Please, please be safe. We live in a crazy, crazy world, all right? Do the little things. Set yourself apart from the next guy or girl. If you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability, or don't fucking do it, all right? Give back to the industry. All right. If you are good at anything, help the next person. You know what I mean? Like, give back. Trust me, that person's not going to take your job. We're in a, you know what I mean? If they take your job, then that was on you, not them. Just give a shit, man. Care about people, the people you work with. Ask how their day is. You know what I mean? If you notice, like I've said this before, if they're normally on time every day and you start to notice this guy's 15, 20 minutes late, be that person that says, hey, man, everything okay? I know you're normally on time. I notice you've been late. Like, just give a shit, man. Care about people. If you put positivity out in the world, it's amazing how you start to get that back. Let that negative stuff brush off and just be happy. There's enough bullshit in the world. We don't got to add to it. All right? But with that being said, I'm going to slowly close this thing out. Please remember to follow me on all the social media sites. The biggest ones I'm doing now is just going to be here, YouTube and Instagram. TikTok's going to get shut down anyway, apparently. But make sure you're following me on all those different websites to stay up to date on everything I have going on, giveaways, merchandise, whatever it may be. But with that being said, I love you guys. Have a great week. Please be safe, and I will talk to you mofos next week. All right? See ya.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored Podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.
I love you guys, okay? I hope you have a great weekend, and I appreciate you, okay?
The rest of you, go fuck yourself.